By watching or listening to this show, you are acknowledging that you are legal age to consume cannabis in your region. This product is for adults only.
So, hello, Ashley Newman. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you today?
This is Truth on Cannabis, meant to explore Ashley Newman and her backstory. Question number one, where does your cannabis journey begin? We want to understand what brought you to this place and how it helped you or others, like your background in life or education or career path. Go.
So I got my medical card a few years prior to the legalization because I have endometriosis and it was very painful. I was on constant pain medications and I wanted to get away from that. The doctor I asked said that she would not give me a medical prescription for cannabis, but she would give me Oxycontin, which I found kind of silly. But I went to another doctor who did give me my medical card, and CBD completely changed my inflammation, my health. And then it also, once I started introducing THC and getting more used to it, where I kind of got past that paranoid stage of being high, then I started to really love who it was making me into and how much compassion I had for other humans. And I started asking more questions about what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? And I couldn't imagine selling another product that could spread more love than cannabis.
Spreading the love. I love it. Very similar. My story is very similar. I was also a patient first, actually, but I love it. And you grew up in this, or your store is in the same city as I am right now. So how's the Queen of Bud doing?
It's good. So Calgary store is doing well, and then the Toronto store opens next week. So we're very excited for that to come along.
Are you going to get a chance to go to Toronto or not until after our situation in COVID?
Yeah, so I did consider going down next week, but because in Toronto they have an 8 p.m. curfew, everything is closed. It's very strict with the COVID regulations that we can't even have anyone in the store. So it's all click and collect only. And so I'm thinking I might hold off. They're looking at lifting those restrictions the following week, or I think February 13th or something. So if they do, then I'll definitely be coming down because I'm very excited to see that store open.
That's exciting. Right in time for Valentine's Day. A perfect time to love the plant, yourself, and everyone around you, hey?
Yes.
Awesome. So I want to talk to you. Question number 2 of 4 is, when did you realize that cannabis had been part of your daily life? So you touched on this before, but that was like, did that take a long time? Like, what was your time frame from starting it for the endometriosis and then it becoming like a regular thing?
Yeah, so I get that. I get people saying all the time, oh, I can't smoke weed because I get too paranoid, or I don't like the way that it makes me feel. So with the CBD, I was taking it every day, and so I was kind of forced to take it every day. So you get kind of used to it. And then I slowly started introducing THC, but I would say it took a good 6 months of using it almost every day to kind of get used to it, where you get to experience the full effects of it.
Totally. I hear you. I also was a first time user of, in terms of medicinally, with CBD, and I now use it all the time. But do you find that now when you say you're adding in the THC, were you using it as an oil primarily first?
No, I just mean that, yeah, I was using the CBD oil and then even CBD flower. And then I started to introduce more of a balance, so a 1-to-1, so that I wouldn't get super paranoid. And then I started going up and up. And then now I just smoke high THC strains because I like the feeling of being high.
Love it. Love it. Do you have a favorite high CBD strain?
Well, no, not at the moment, because I think I'm kind of out of touch with it now because I just mostly take CBD oil and then I just smoke high THC strains. So yeah, just kind of, that was back when I was a medical user. So I feel like I'm kind of out of touch with the CBD flower.
No problem. Well, I want to ask you, did you face any stigma when you were doing this, other than the first doctor that says, no, I'm not going to prescribe it? Who else in your world provided stigma for you to endure at that time?
So yes, absolutely. There was a stigma around cannabis, but I think that I never saw it that way, and I made sure to educate my kids around it, and we call it a plan in a herd helps people, and that's how I always just kind of it's just their opinion in life at the moment. I mean, I was completely against one thing 3 years ago, and then now I'm pro the exact same thing. So opinions kind of change and will eventually change.
I love that. It's a stigma as someone's opinion in life at the moment. I am going to use that to quote you because I think that's a great way to talk about it. It's just a period, a point in time, which is really just a collection of all their previous experience now as it stands, but that's always evolving. So how did that evolve for you in your life? Like you mentioned that you've changed over the time with its use for yourself. When did you decide to become a business opportunity for you?
So it was funny. I wrote in my notebook, I'm all about manifestation and kind of writing down what you want and almost believing that it's already happened so that you can attach or create an emotion and an excitement so that you actually do attract that thing. Manifestation must come from a place of happiness and joy. So I would say that as soon as I heard that it was going to be legalized, in my notebook it specifically said I want a job where I can smoke weed all day and not be judged for it. So as soon as the legalization was happening, I'm like, okay, done. I got to open up a store. I obviously didn't have the money at that time to have a grow facility. I would have loved to get in on that side, but it just wasn't financially feasible for me until later on. But it was good because the retail store allowed me to meet customers, see what the market wanted, focus on quality because there was such a lack of it at that time, and what's niche products that you can bring to market that no one else is doing. So I actually don't know if the LP would be as successful if I hadn't kind of had that opportunity to be in retail first.
Yeah, and just for clarification, you cannot smoke weed in a cannabis store now, or I don't know when that's going to happen, right? That's not you just
No, absolutely not.
Exactly. So that's actually one of the biggest stigmas around is that people assume that you're just going to go and get high, and that's a bad thing, I guess, is the stigma part of it. I face that a lot with investors, is that's just a risk for them because they just don't understand it. But how did you move into the LP side? Tell me a bit about that.
So once we had the retail store in Calgary, it did very well. People loved the aesthetic of the store, but I think that they more so even loved the messaging of the store about you could have this beautiful store, but we have homeless people in there that are our biggest customers because they feel that Queen of Bud, despite the aesthetic of it, it is a welcoming place for everyone. And it doesn't matter what your, I want to say, avatar in this life looks like or where you come from. At the end of this life, we all come from the same place. So everyone should be treated equally. First store did very, very well. We started to get offers from LPs to purchase it, but I decided that I felt that they would just take my brand and brand whatever quality of cannabis that they had at the facility at the time, and it would I would ruin what made my brand special. Would a board of men truly care about spreading love the same way that I cared, right?
Right.
So
They're probably
I wanted
for more female demographic to heighten their, diversity of product awareness on their product, and using your brand as a vehicle for that, but it wasn't empowering you and what you were doing.
100%. And then the other thing is that at the time there was such a cannabis bubble going on where you were seeing these 36-time multiples on the stock market. And so even though a lot of these deals, some were cash, others were shares, but the ones that were shares, I didn't want because I was so afraid that because they were public and they were trading at such a high multiple, what happens when that bubble pops and then now you think that you got this amazing evaluation for the store, but now your store, you just sold it for less than it probably makes a month.
Right, because at the store you're actually taking cash and money from people's pockets into your till, so you can count it. Whereas at that level with the investors and with the LPs, it was all in the stock market, so you really didn't see it yet.
Yeah, and they were using me in order to, like, well, they would use the store in order to show that they're generating some kind of profit for the company to please shareholders. And so I decided not to do any of those deals and to kind of work with, I met my other two partners, and they were beginning to build a facility, and we decided to kind of blend together and to do great things. And both my partners, one, his wife, does energy and crystal healing, so I knew that she would really get my brand and what I was doing. And then my other partner's wife is an artist, and so similar to me in her philosophy on life. So I truly couldn't have picked two better partners, not just financially or like strategic wise, but more so who they are as humans and how much they truly believe in what I want to do with this company and with this brand.
You are speaking my language, girl. And it's funny because when I first saw your store, someone else said to me, like, Malka, you should be calling yourself the Queen of Bud. And I'm like, and maybe, I don't know if you know the translation, but my name in Hebrew means queen. Malka is queen. And I'm sitting here next to my queen mug, which I painted when I was 8 years old in pottery class with my Hebrew name on it. And it's a crown. And I'm like, you know, I've never really owned that except when it was a branding thing. So like I was the spice queen for our kosher spice queen for what's it called, Epicure, and I did the queen of the Cutco queen when I sold Cutco knives. I told you that. And then the other one was the queen of toys for Discovery Toys. So throughout my life I've always used the queen as a brand, except for now. And I love it how you are using and powering that along the vision, the values of what you're doing. And you're totally speaking my language, girl, because the whole part about honoring the plant, we talked about that before, that's the part that people have forgotten. And in a lot of the circles that I'm talking about, they don't understand that. So I love that that's the values and alignment that you found in your business partners. It's very hard to find that in other people unless you really get a chance to know them. So I want to just close it up here with a couple, one last question. And that's, you know, you talked a bit about your family and your, you know, how you found your partners. Who are your like mentors or your support system, and with your kids along the way? Like, how did you explain what you were doing to them, or how do you, and how do you explain what you're doing now, not just from a cannabis perspective, but, you know, in this world?
So my girls have always kind of come along with me in this journey. As a single mom, I couldn't afford daycare or a nanny. And so throughout all my different business ventures and failures, they were along with me. So even though they can't be a part of Queen of Bud because it's cannabis, and but I've tried to explain to them what I do, and that's that mommy grows plants, and I sell herbs that are a medicine and help people. So I've made it very positive, but also I feel that I've explained it to them in a way where there is no stigma attached to it, right? It's just like basil or cilantro or something that you buy at the store, right? It's just because it has a poor reputation, it doesn't mean that that's truly what it is.
100%. Oh my gosh, love it. You were saying it. So there's another point I remember. You're bringing up these memories for me when I've explained this to other people. I remember standing in my garage smoking a joint with my husband and another one of his friends, friends of the people we were speaking about before. And one of the other guys in banking still, and he put a glove on, like a blue medical glove on, and his kids were 6 and 7 at the time. And I remember standing there and I'd ask him, like, why are you putting on a glove? And he's like, well, you know, they don't like the smell. I don't want them to know that I'm doing this. And I'm like, mark my words, by the time my daughter knows what this is and what we're going out to do, it will be legal. And I won't have to be ashamed for what we're doing. And I'm recalling that now because you just said it there. I wanted to intentionally say to my daughter, not have to have a stigmatic conversation. It should not be a stigma. It's legal. It's perfectly legal here. And we're just working through the details on how to make sure it's accessible for everybody. I love it. So what do you think the future holds, Ashley? Where do you see cannabis going? Where do you see you going and your LP? Tell us a bit more.
So I mean, see us get into more CBD beauty, which we are going to be getting into very shortly. So I'm excited because I've worked very, very hard on that side of things. I love beauty ever since I was a little girl. I was always making my own little face mask recipes and lotions. I think actually that was my first business ever at my grandma's house, is I made these lotions with her perfume and different creams. And I think I even put macaroni in there and tried to sell it on the side of the street when I was like 5 or 6. So no one bought it, but it's always been a passion of mine. The industry, I would like to see it normalized. I would like to see cannabis normalized a little bit more, and the stigma broke. People always, even to this day, they still say you don't look like someone that smokes cannabis, and it really bothers me when I hear that, because well, what are you insinuating a cannabis smoker looks like then?
Yeah.
And I think it's normal for all shapes and sizes and everyone to be using cannabis. So I hope that I would also like to see some of the restrictions lifted around cannabis. I feel like they're very strict right now. So the Cannabis Act is up for renewal later this year. So I look forward to hopefully seeing some of the regulations loosened around cannabis. We are going to be launching our flower in various provinces. We are already in Alberta and approved to sell to Saskatchewan as well. So I look forward to getting into Ontario, which is something we're actively working on. We hope to be there sometime in Q2 or Q3, and as well as in BC. And then, I don't know, I hope to kind of have maybe 1 or 2 retail stores in the States, just flagship locations, and no more retail in Canada, but just building great relationships. The best part of my job on the LP side is getting to connect with all of the incredible retailers that support us and love our products, and getting to connect with other LPs and saying, hey, how can we help? How can we work together? And I feel like I've made so many incredible friends in this industry, and that's what warms my heart the most. Is I feel like I've helped a lot of people, and I feel that I've conducted business in a way that is loving and compassionate, despite other companies telling me that business is ruthless and it can never work that way.
Amen, sister. I fully agree with you. I'm like writing. I'm like, you are right. I also feel that way. And you know, I wanted to say that I really liked about how the LPs were saying to you about, or the investors or whoever was saying that, you know, you don't look like someone that's in the cannabis business. And I've literally been hearing that weekly with these investors that I'm speaking to. They're not in the cannabis space. They don't understand it at all. And I'm here I am talking about my story and where I've come from. And they're like, you bring a lot of credibility to the industry because you don't look, sound, or act like whatever they think that should be. And I haven't really pushed back on what is that to you, you know, but I hear you and I love it. I'm so honored that I got a chance to speak with you and that you're doing such amazing things. Is the name of your product lines with the LP Queen of Bud, or is it different?
Yes, so our products are Queen of Bud, which is our ultra premium, and then we have QOB, that's our premium. So the Canadian market, because of the regulations, customers don't have the opportunity to really see quality. And so unfortunately, a lot of it is based on THC levels and price. And now we're starting to be able to educate customers on great quality. When you open up one slurricane by another LP and you get 14 little popcorn buds, and then you open up the QOB slurricane and you get that nice big sticky dense nug, that there is a difference in the high, in the quality, in the taste. We have the Queen of Bud line that is solely, it's higher THC and higher cannabinoid content. And then we have QOB that's, you know, above, we always try and aim for above 20%, but that isn't so focused on THC and really focused on quality.
I love it. That's amazing. I can't wait to try your stuff. I'm going to go check it out, see if some Spirit Loose has some near me. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's about it for my questions. And people can find you on LinkedIn, but I'm going to also shoot, you're going to be on our Truth on Cannabis feature page when this is all said and done. So I look forward to sharing that with the world and yeah, creating more of a positive vibe, love for the plant and sharing that with others. Thanks so much, Ashley.
No, thank you. It was such an honor that you had me on. It was so incredible speaking to you and talking with another woman in the cannabis space. So thank you.
Thank you.